and welcome back to another video. So today we're back here for another speed build, and today we're going to go ahead and create this modern waterfront mansion. So if you'd like to go ahead and download this for yourself, it is up on the gallery now. My origin ID is real Thomas TV1, and like normal there will be a link in the description to the online gallery if you want to go ahead and download the build that way. So like I said, this is called a modern waterfront mansion, and you're probably wondering why you're seeing this on a Saturday. If you don't know, I do always post my Sunday mansion builds, well, on a Sunday. Every week, if you don't know, I do a mansion build, and I always save it for a Sunday. But this week, I actually have another build, well, not another build, another video. I always say builds, because that's always what I seem to do, but another video coming tomorrow, which isn't a build. And that's why I'm posting this today, because I actually really love this build. And I don't think I'm going to get another chance to post this before Discover University comes out next week. And it's really weird to say that. It's came around really quickly, actually. So I don't think I'm going to get another chance to post that because, as you know, I will be receiving early access, which I'm really excited about. So I'll have a lot of content about that. So I don't think I'm going to get another chance to post this. So I was like, if I've got this another exciting video coming tomorrow, I thought I don't upload on Saturdays anyway. So that's why you're seeing this today. So about this video tomorrow, I can't really say too much about it, other than it is Discover University related, and it is coming at 8 AM Pacific Standard Time, which is 4 PM UK time, so stay tuned for that. And I'm really looking forward to it. I was presented with a really exciting opportunity the other day to kind of do this video, so just be on the lookout for that. And yeah, so this build, like I was saying before, I love how it turned out, and I don't really know why, really. It's just, yeah, I don't really know why. I've been trying to think of a reason why I really love this build. I think it has just something to do how the interior turned out, because I know that I always struggle a little bit when it comes to modern builds, and it's always with the exteriors of modern builds. I just feel like sometimes they can look too boxy when I do them for some reason, like it kind of did here as well, but to be honest, I don't really think it looks that bad. Well, I hope it doesn't. But yeah, so I have a lot of problems sometimes with modern builds, and it's always with the exteriors. But in general, I do really love doing modernized interiors. Like I do them a lot in just general suburban builds as well. So when it comes to doing a build like this, I really love doing the interiors of them. So I really love how the interior turned out, so you'll see that, shortly. So anyway, a little bit more about the build. It has 9 bedrooms and 7 bathrooms, so I know 9 bedrooms is a lot. Even with me, with mansions, I do them all the time, but I normally kind of stick around like, 5 or 6 bedrooms, so to have 9 today is a lot. And like I said, 7 bedrooms, and it came in at 256,747 simoleons. Now today for this build, since it is probably going to be the last one I've got before Discover University videos next week, I just wanted to build something without really having to be restricted or anything like that. I just wanted to build just for the sake of it, really. So I didn't want to kind of restrict myself too much, but as you know, I do try to limit packs where I can. So I did try to keep that in mind, but I did use a few more packs than usual. So for the expansions, I did use all of them apart from Get to Work, but then the game packs and stuff packs are much less. So for the game packs, I use Parenthood, Dine Out and Spa Day, and for the stuff packs, I use Moschino Stuff and Perfect Patio. So that isn't a lot of the other packs, it just is a lot of expansions, but I just didn't want to be restricted for a change. Now you may see Get to Work in Jungle Adventure during this build in different areas. I think from Jungle Adventure I used a dining table and an archway, and from Get to Work I used a few sofas, and I take those out because those are the only items I use from those packs. So those are just a couple of examples of when I do restrict packs, and I've heard a lot of people tell me that it is really helpful, because I know not everybody has all the packs, and it doesn't affect me either, because if it's just a few items like that which are just going to be like for decoration or something, then I can just replace them for something else. If it's something that I really wanted to use, then I'll just keep it in, but and it might just be an exception for one time. But yeah, so also another thing as well, as you may have heard me say before, but I did use Moschino Stuff today. Now I've since the pack came out and I did a few videos on it, I have tried to stop using it because I know not a lot of people seem to have it, I've seen to see. So I just try to leave it out my builds where I can. But I have done a few modern builds recently, and I actually have found that pack to be quite useful. The windows seem to fit nicely with the pack. Now, I don't know if you would say they are modern windows, but I've paired them with a few modern builds I've done recently, and they actually work really nicely, so I did that here today. And also the bookshelf on the pack, the bookshelf on the pack as well, I have used that today a few times, and a few rugs as well. So I did use a few furniture items too, because sometimes, you know, there's like the window I had in mind from the pack, and I was like, you know what, if I'm just using the window, and I really want to use it, I might as well use a few other items too, so that's what I did. So we're just working on the exterior here, as you can see, doing a few outdoor activities and stuff. I didn't do a whole bunch of stuff like I would normally do, like a backyard area of a home. I didn't do a pool because it is all the ocean, so you don't really need one. I know some people do like the sort of like fake pool trick with like debug and stuff. If you've seen my what build was it, the underwater Solani home I think it was, I did do something similar to that, but I just didn't want to do it for today's build. But there are ladders there where you can go down into the ocean easily if you want to access that. And now working on the interior. So for this kitchen here, I did have a bit of trouble because, as you can see, the home itself inside is not as big as you may think it is for having 9 bedrooms and 7 bathrooms. As you can see here, the kitchen is pretty small. And what I did have a bit of trouble with was that I had a load of space to put all these bedrooms in, but I didn't really have the space to match the 9 bedrooms with a decent amount of bathrooms because, you know, if I do that amount of bedrooms, then it's no good having like, you know, 4 bathrooms. So I did try to put in as many bathrooms as I could. 7 was the maximum. I did have 8 here, as one of them was in the kitchen as well, but I did need a little bit of extra space there to get that island counter in, so I did have to rearrange that, which means there is one less bathroom. But, you know, to be honest, I don't really think it's going to matter that much, but you can expand it, you know, if you need to. Now, since this is a water lot, you can't build basements, I don't think, but since this is a modern build and I did do just the half wall roofing instead of like actual roofing, it would be really easy to build a 3rd floor, since you're not going to have to mess around with roofing. It's just like there isn't any roof there really, so you could build a 3rd floor on this build if you wanted to. So feel free to do that, or you could even make like a little guest house sort of thing, sort of like going on the boardwalk area at the back and kind of making a little sort of, I guess, guest house thing on stilts. Maybe that's an idea as well. Anyway, so we're just working on the dining room as well. Now, as you may see in different areas, the home itself, like inside, isn't ultra modern. I think on the exterior it does look kind of like that. But on the interior there is definitely a lot of modern aspects to it, but maybe areas here and there which aren't as modern. Not really, well actually, you know, I see this a lot where I do modern builds and there might be traditional aspects here and there, but I wouldn't say it's that traditional today. There is much less traditional aspects than normal. So for a couple of examples of like when some of the bedside tables, I use like the cats and dogs ones on a few occasions, which are a little bit more on the older side, but kind of worked well with some of the beds I use. So, you know, it's things like that, which didn't really make it look that old, but I'm really happy how this build turned out. And another thing as well, the colour scheme of the interior I think works really well today. Sometimes I do have a bit of trouble of, well, what I do like to do is like I have a colour scheme that I have running throughout the main part of the home. It's like normally like downstairs and like the living room and the hallways and the kitchen and stuff like that all kind of work well together, and then when it goes into the bedrooms I then start doing like individual colour schemes and personalities for those rooms, and those ones can kind of look a little bit out of place, but it kind of makes sense though because not all the bedrooms are going to be the same, you know, sort of feeling with them. So that's kind of what I did with a lot of the homes I do. But for today's build, everything kind of feels a little bit more cohesive, and all the bedrooms are kind of got their own colours with them, but they're all on a much lighter colour scheme, so they all kind of blend a little bit better, I suppose, and I really love how it looks. So you'll see that once we start working upstairs, and all of the bedrooms upstairs apart from one, and the master bedroom is what we're going to work on next, I think, and it's that green room right there next to the living room at the front of the house. And I thought I couldn't really decide on where I was going to put the master bedroom, because normally I try to find a place for the master bedroom which is kind of has something better about it than the other bedrooms, if that makes sense. So sometimes it's either it's got an ensuite bathroom, but in this case pretty much a lot of the bathrooms have ensuite bathrooms, and then in other cases it's where it's got space for like its own fireplace, and then in other cases it's where it's got like a bigger just general size about it than other bedrooms. So this room at the front here where the green room is, which I did make it in the master bedroom, that one was kind of a spare room that I didn't really know what to do with, and it was a lot bigger than the other rooms that I had for other bedrooms, so I thought that might be a good place to put it. And it does have really nice views as well, and actually a lot of the rooms have really nice views because of where the house, you know, actually is. So pretty much all of the bedrooms have really nice views, which is nice. And a thing that I do in a lot of my builds that you probably notice is that I kind of go overboard on the windows, which I know sometimes can make it hard when it comes to doing the floor plan of like trying to place walls and stuff, but in this case where you've got all these nice views, I think it worked out well, so I'm happy about that. So I also wanted to know if you have any more ideas for videos I can do with Discovery University. As I was saying before, it is coming out next week, as you should probably know by now, and I do have early access as well, which I mentioned. So I do have quite a few ideas already, but if you do have any other ideas, then still feel free to suggest them. I do add all the ideas that I get to a list, and I can't guarantee that I'll get around to it because I have to actually kind of want to do it in the moment, but you know, I do still add everything to the list even if I don't really think I might do it, because it is, you know, still a chance where in the future I might look at the list and actually want to do that idea in that moment. I just kind of want to actually do it then, but at another time I might want to do it, so you know, I still add everything to the list. So you know, feel free if you have any ideas that I could do with that pack, and for that matter any ideas in general, because I take ideas all the time. So now we're on to the bedrooms, and it's pretty much the last things that we've got to do for the build. What I used to do was I kind of jump around the build a lot, like in the speed build videos, as I knew that some people like that in terms of keep it more interesting for the build. So I'll be working on a bit of the exterior and then start working on the interior a little bit, then go back to the exterior. But then I kind of realised that maybe that isn't the best thing to do because it can get a little bit confusing sometimes, especially when I do so many big builds. So now I tend to keep the builds more ordered, so I am just doing all the bedrooms last, and sometimes what I'll do is just kind of just work from the outside in and then kind of do the bottom floor and then work up upstairs. So that's how I kind of did here. So we're just working on the bedrooms, and there isn't really any personality to them today. With modern builds, I don't really like to do kids' rooms. I think I did a modern build the other day, which was the Modern Hills mansion that I did in Del Sol Valley, and I was saying the same thing, is that when it comes to modern builds, I just don't really think kids' rooms look that right. I know some people can do them, and that's fine, but it's just me personally, like the kind of theme I go for in my modern builds. When I start putting kids rooms in, which kind of look better when it's got loads of colour and stuff in them, and lots of toys and stuff, and combined with a modern home, I just can't really make it work that well for me, so I just tend to not do that. But I did do a few like single bedrooms and things like that, which can maybe hint as that could be a kids room if you have that type of family playing in this build. And this particular room here, it isn't really a kids room, but this could maybe be like a teen girls room, or you know, something like that if you want. So some rooms don't really look like a kids room, but could maybe be used as that by kind of how they look in terms of like having a single bed or not. So you can kind of use that as a bit of inspiration if you don't really have a family in mind to play in this build. And this build didn't take me that long either. I think it took me about like an hour and 20 minutes, which is no time at all. It was actually a pretty straightforward build. There wasn't like a whole bunch going on with it. I think it is like for two reasons. One, as I was saying before, like the house itself wasn't too kind of complex in terms of its shape, which I think played a lot into it. And also as well, the fact that it's on a water lot meant that I didn't have as much landscaping to do, and like train paint and stuff like that, which can also take up a lot of time. So I think those other factors as well kind of played into a lot of it. So I think when you kind of combine that and with the time of the build, it kind of all reduced it a lot for this build. So that's why it didn't take me that long. So because of that, I did kind of include a lot more footage than I normally would. So sometimes when I'm doing the exterior, I'll kind of take out footage of me kind of putting the columns in and stuff, which isn't the most interesting thing, but if the video is going to be a little bit shorter, then since I don't always show that, I will include it for a change, so I did show you a little bit of that today. And in this particular room, I was having a bit of a lighting glitch. I did actually add in a few skylights off screen. The reason I did it off screen was because, as you can see, I have a lot of these ceiling lights on, and when you put the skylights on, sometimes they can kind of overlap each other, and it doesn't really look that right, so I just did it off screen, and then it just did where I had the ceiling lights placed. So I just did that all off screen to sort it all out. But it did mean at certain points in the day, the lighting would be kind of overwhelming in the rooms, so that's why that one looked a little bit too overkill just because of all the lights in it, but I don't think it'll look like that all the time. And there again is those Moschino bookshelves. I actually really like those. I'm probably going to use those a lot more now in modern builds, now that I know that Moschino stuff pack works really well with those modern builds. So I might use that a lot more. And I also noticed that those bookshelves have really nice clipping in terms of like other items you can add into it, because you know how like bookshelves have like slots of like clutter items you can put in them. I noticed the Moschino stuff ones have really nice like loads of slots, because some of them, like I've noticed in the past, I can't really think of any particular ones off the top of my head, but I've noticed like some of them have like loads of spaces but you can't put anything in them, and it's really frustrating. But those Moschino ones look really nice, and maybe the team have took like feedback off that, since it's like a newer pack and so they've got more slots in them. I don't know, but anyway, nearly finished with the build here. We're just finishing off a few more things. We've got like I think 2 or 3 bedrooms left, so I'm going to start wrapping up the video here, and I think that's all I've got left to do. I didn't actually do kind of any exterior details on this build, which I know is a little bit boring, but I find this sometimes with modern builds where like putting ivy and planter boxes on the windows and stuff doesn't always look right, but then again sometimes they can look a little bit boring. So the exterior in terms of like details like that may look a little bit bare today, but you know, that's just why I did it, in case you're wondering. But anyway, so I really hope you enjoyed. In the comment section down below, let me know about what you thought of this build. If you have any more suggestions for anything else that you want to see on the channel next, or again anything that you want to see with Discover University next week, then let me know again. Leave a like, share and subscribe if you haven't, and you can go ahead and download this build from the gallery. My origin ID is RealThomasTV1, and like normal, like I said, there is a link in the description to the online gallery if you want to go ahead and download the build that way. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!